Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 1399 of the Locked On Hawks podcast. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Thursday evening into Friday. And today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the most qualified candidates that you want to talk to, and they help you to do it faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. And today's show is myself and my friend Tyler Jones. This is actually going to be part 2 of 2. So if you missed part 1, I encourage you to go to the top of this podcast, wherever you listen to this podcast, anywhere you might find it, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, etc. This is going to be part 2. So part 1 was a free-flowing conversation, as we always have, between myself and Tyler, and part 2 picks up on that right in the middle of things. So part 1 should be listened to first. But no matter what, we had fun talking about the Hawks and the current state of affairs with Atlanta. AJ Griffin talk coming on the podcast, Jalen Johnson, etc. Deadline stuff, state of the roster, state of the team overall, and we always have fun when we talk about the Hawks in this space between myself and Tower. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll be back after an intro, and we'll dive back in for part 2 with Tower Jones.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So I have a couple things to ask you about the future, and we can kind of view it through the prism of the front office stuff if you want. It's kind of one of those things that I've talked about a lot, but we'll never know all of it, even people that are plugged in. But since the Travis Schlenk news broke on December 21st, we're like 5 weeks away from that. The Sam Amick piece about 2 weeks ago about the athletic structure, about the front office structure from the Athletic. And did you notice that last week or so the Hawks went on a full PR blitz? I know you're not in Atlanta like I am, but they had Landry and Kyle out there a lot for about a 3 or 4 day period, and they're trying to say, here we are, we're young, we are young. They're acknowledging that, but they have this they're very pro player as 2 former players. They talked about wanting to hire former players. They want to be catering to players, all that stuff, and like have a good atmosphere for players, and talking about the trade deadline. And it's tough to talk about that because of the tax that we talked about a million times. But I wonder, from a more outsider view than I have, what you're thinking, because there's the Nick Ressler stuff that has not gone over well publicly. And I think that was kind of bubbling before it all broke publicly. And now it's out there and it's been a punchline nationally. I cannot tell you how many texts, messages, DMs from people around the league that work for teams or that are writers. They're like making fun of the Ressler situation because it's an easy thing to make fun of. But I want to know what you think on the outside, as a fan perspective, all that stuff. Like, where are we at with the front office, man? It's been a kind of a weird month plus.
Well, has it? I guess the bright side is it hasn't really changed that much. This is kind of what this ownership group has always done since he bought the team. If things go poorly, he's got to take control from his basketball people and make the decisions. And so I don't know, man. I just, like, to me, like the lack of experience, not just basketball experience, but like genuine work experience, because it's from this front office group is going to be tough to overcome. Because there are 29 other NBA teams that are trying to build the best team possible, and it's a zero. Like the sport of basketball like NBA basketball is a zero-sum game. There's a finite amount of players, it's a finite amount of money, and when you lose such, like, Travis Schlenk is a veteran. Like, he's been in the NBA. He's an NBA lifer. That that's a voice lost. That's a voice in the room lost. Like, and that's a guy who has perspective and like who can make, and has relationships with other teams around the NBA. Now we have these fresh babyface guys. I mean, even excluding Nick Ressler for the side, the forward-facing people, which is Landry Fields and Kyle Korver, like they were former players, but it's different talking to agents. It's different talking to other teams as a member of an organization. Like, it's just a different environment that all these guys are in, and they're gonna have to work through a lot of issues while also having to deal with the fact that they're never going to pay the tax, apparently. And
well, I will say, I don't know if it's never. This year, I've been saying since before most people that they weren't paying the tax this year, and they're not going to pay it. I don't know if it's never, but yeah. You know.
When are they ever going to pay the tax? If you're going to trade for a guy who on his next contract is going to make the maximum amount possible, probably. Who's currently making $16 million? He's making currently only $16 million a season.
Yeah, 16.5 this year for Dejounte, and 17.7 next year for Dejounte.
And so during these 2 periods, you actually have an opportunity for a lower tax bill. Like, to me, this is how I'm looking at it. I'm like, you try to upgrade your talent, like you trade a Gallinari, you trade one rotation player for another, but you get a that massive talent upgrade, but then you let 2 key rotation players just go for nothing, and Kevin Huerter, they got a pick back, but you let Dillon Wright walk without giving him. Like, I still haven't heard if the Hawks even offered Dillon Wright a competitive offer. And you look at the structure of the Hawks right now, it's very difficult to look at this team and be like, they are literally they just need another rotation player. And if they had 2 more rotation players, guess what you could do? You could trade for another guy who might fit better on your team. Like, you would have options, but they cut themselves at the knees here because the owner's like, no, on the tax. I'm like, so if you're not going to do it now, when you have all these good players on this, because like this team is going to look differently next year. Like it's just.
It probably will. And like, to your point about DeLon, like, I know that one went under the radar over the summer because Huerter got the attention, and that I get all that. I heard, and I'm not Woj, but I don't think the Hawks made an offer in the range that he signed. I think they would have signed him back at a price of some kind. I don't believe it was even particularly close to what he got from the Wizards, which means he was never going to come back because
the Wizards didn't give him that much money.
Right. It was 2 for 16. And DeLon gave an interview, I think it was like in November or something. And it wasn't bad. He wasn't killing the Hawks, but he just acknowledged that like he didn't play very much in the first half of the season last year. And he didn't have a big role. And I think that was part of it too. Like, why would he have assumed that he was going to suddenly play more coming back to Atlanta? So I think the Hawks were going to have to, like, at minimum, match the price. They were never going to get a discount on DeLon Wright, which they shouldn't have. Like, why would DeLon have signed for a discount? That's just what it is. So, but yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I brought front office, obviously, is because the deadline, as we're talking right now, is 2 weeks from today. And everyone knows, I think by this point, if they don't, we'll tell them again, the Hawks are at least a player short. They might be 2 players short in depth. They just don't have the depth. And like, I was somewhat optimistic that Justin Holiday could maybe help them. He's not helped them very much. Aaron Holiday has been okay for a minimum guy. Like, Aaron Holiday has done what he's supposed to do for a minimum size.
Aaron Holiday is perfectly fine if he's your 11th man.
And that's what he should be.
Or even your late 10th man.
Well,
like
and a guy in the minimum. The pace. A guy in the minimum. It's supposed to be your 11th man or 12th man. And like, that is the problem. That's one of the problems with this tax avoidance, is that you're relying on a guy. And yeah, your backup point guard is Dejounte. We talked about it earlier in the podcast. But Aaron Holiday has clear strengths and clear weaknesses. And that's why he was available for the minimum. And that's fine. Aaron Holiday on the minimum is a good signing. That was a good contract. But there's nights when you don't have to play Aaron Holiday. And right now they kind of have to play him most of the time. And on the wing, you get an injury to DeAndre Hunter, who, by the way, has been pretty good. We're not going to do the whole Hunter thing, but like, he's having a pretty decent season. He's been fine. He's not been incredible, but he's having a pretty decent year. And it becomes so glaring when he's out for 2 games that the Hawks have no one like him on the roster. No one like him in terms of what his skill set is. Like, they don't have that guy. And it was supposed to be, I guess, Justin Holiday, but like, Justin Holiday, even if he was the good version of Justin Holiday, is a lot skinnier, a lot slighter than DeAndre. Doesn't create anything offensively for you in the way that DeAndre does. So like, even if you're healthy, which we've talked about this too, but you can't build a team assuming you're going to be healthy every single game of the season. And you can't do that. But even if they are healthy, they could still use another guy. But if you get 1 injury, then you really need another guy. You get 2 injuries, then you're in desperate shape. So the easy way, without doing anything major, to shake up the roster and add another piece of depth would be to trade Justin Holiday plus a pick for someone. Now, it's not going to be a sexy name, but it's going to be, you could do that. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn, and as a small business owner or hiring manager, you know success in 2023 is all dependent on team members that you surround yourself with. That's why I've checked out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs can help you find qualified candidates more efficiently by matching your open roles with people that have the qualified skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. I've used them a few times, LinkedIn Jobs and Hire in the past. It's proven to be an awesome resource for me that makes the entire hiring process easy and painless. They help you to quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools, and they make it easy to screen rate applicants based on your job qualifications, all in one platform. They go beyond the resume data by using the insights from your job post, your company, and their millions of member profiles to put your post in front of a lot of people at the same time quickly, and they do it for free. Having people around you that you need is huge to meet your goals this year, so it would be wise to check out LinkedIn Jobs, and small businesses are LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires, but compared to leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs Touchpoint might find the most qualified candidates for you that you actually want to talk to, and they help you to do it faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time, that is linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. Terms and conditions apply. Or you could go the more drastic route. You could put Bogey out there. Bogey's got a player option for next year. He's not looked great this year. You got AJ. I think if you're another team, you're probably valuing Bogey as maybe a neutral, maybe a negative. So that's not going to be a huge like windfall coming back. And then you get the Collins thing, which we talked about a million times. But I think if they're serious about trying to win now, and look, they're the AC at this moment, does that mean they're going to be buying? I don't know. That's the number one question I'm getting right now, probably on radio interviews. It's like, are the Hawks buyers or sellers? It's like, they're not sellers.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure if anybody's a seller.
Well, that's the thing. And the Hawks aren't going to sell. I mean, I actually think, and I have not made this argument, and I probably won't. I think you could form an argument that the Hawks maybe should sell, but they're not gonna. And that's not going to happen. So the options are stay pat or kind of buy. Because like really buying is either you make kind of a blockbuster, put multiple guys together deal, or you say, all right, big tone, we're going to the tax. And those things are not going to happen, I don't think. So like it's more likely going to be a deal where maybe they finally move John and they probably get worse in the process, or they maybe get ahead of it and trade Bogey for a piece that's different from Bogey. Maybe one of those like Jay Crowder kind of deals, or Justin Holiday and the Kings pick becomes player X.
Player X, yeah.
And the thing with that, the limitation about that though, is not to belabor the point too much. Holiday only makes like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking now. It's about $6.3 million. And the Hawks are only a little bit under the tax line. So if you're going to trade Justin Holiday and only Justin Holiday, you can't take back a lot of money unless you're going to go on the tax. So that limits your pool because now you're looking at like guys on rookie scale contracts. Like I had somebody, I'm not saying this is a real thing, but I had a fan today just was like, how about Justin Holiday and a pick of Lonnie Walker? And it's like, I mean, that would help you, but the Lakers aren't going to do that. And like, that's the area of player we're talking about is Lonnie Walker.
But like honestly, like Justin Holiday, they were never going to do this, but like Justin Holiday for like a Rui Hachimura type of, I don't know how much. That's what I'm saying. That's what they need to be looking for. Like they need to be looking for a quote unquote, not a bust, but like a guy who's
not going to be a starter for you.
He's not going to be a starter. He's not in the rotation anymore for a team, but he still has talent.
Yeah.
Like they need to look for somebody younger than Justin Holiday who can help, like who can get out on the floor. Like Lonnie Walker is actually a good example. Like just somebody, if there's an injury, you could throw out there for 5 to 8 minutes and it not be the end of the world. Which is
that wasn't like a rumor or anything. That's just a made up trade. But like Rui's a good example of like I don't love Rui. I never have. But Rui is a guy who was like a distressed asset in Washington. Like they wanted to trade him. They want to keep Kuzma by all accounts. And like they could go out and get that guy for like the Lakers probably overpaid, I think, for Rui. It was 3 seconds. They're kind of bad seconds. So it's like whatever. But if the Hawks had offered a similar deal, so basically it would have been Kendrick Nunn for Justin Holiday in the Kendrick Nunn role, plus either a good second or that Kings pick that's a protected first. That's a better deal for the Wizards than what they actually got. Yeah. I'm not sure the Hawks. In fact, I'm pretty sure they
wouldn't do that. Hawks wouldn't. Hawks wouldn't do that. But
well, and plus Rui's a 4 and all that, and all that stuff. But like, Jay Crowder is a name that I've said all along. I'm not enthused by Jay Crowder. He's from here. I get all that. He would probably help them. He was just somehow on the roster, but he's a 4. Like, he hasn't played basketball in a long time. Like, that's more of a question mark move than anything else. Like, I don't know who the player is. That's the hardest part about this when you're asked about it, is like, I don't have a great idea for you.
I mean, honestly, that player is not available. Like, the player that the Hawks need, they were on the team, they let them go. Like, that's real. Like,
yeah, I mean,
Herter would have helped.
Yeah,
I mean, Herter would have
be great.
Like, it's just.
I mean, DeLon Wright would have been great, and obviously DeLon Wright is not as good as much as I love DeLon Wright. He's not as good as Kevin Herter, but DeLon Wright is 20% better than Aaron Holiday, and bigger and more versatile, and like that'd be a really helpful piece right now, because he can play the wing for you, he can handle the ball for you a little bit more than Aaron can. And it doesn't have to be even. The thing is, though, like, if we're being 100% honest, what the spot that they need to turn Justin Holiday into, if they were going to do that kind of marginal move, is a guy at the 3, really, like a backup. And those guys is what every single team in the league wants. Every team in the league wants a 3. Like, so if you're a guy, like, but the Bucks are calling on everybody like that, and like every team is looking for that magical player off the scrap heap or off somebody's bench or a second draft guy or whatever. It's going to be like, that's the obvious move. And look, if the Hawks want to use a first to do that, they could probably get that done. If you trade Justin Holiday and the Kings pick, or Justin Holiday and your own pick this year, which is those are really the 2 picks they can trade right now, are the Kings pick or their own pick this year, because they still have their pick this year, which the Hawks pick is interesting this year. Anyway, if they wanted to offer that to somebody, that's a pretty good package, because that first round pick is really valuable. Justin Holiday's expiring. So like, if they wanted to be aggressive, they could, but it's the player. Like, who is the player? Because they have to be kind of cheap, or you're in the tax, and they're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's the cheap part that's really going to hurt them here, and it just goes.
Or it's bogey. By the way, we should always mention, or it's bogey, because like, more practically, you and I would not trade John Collins. One of the ways they could change the team is to trade John, and that's still, when I talk to people, that's still the most likely major move would be to trade John. And that's I think now versus a month ago, I think the chances they trade John are lower than I thought earlier in the year. I really do. But they're still
purely vibes based.
It's all vibes.
And this is what Hawks fans actually need to understand. This team is ran on vibes.
It really
is. And like,
well, okay,
Brad is laughing. I'm dead
true.
serious.
No,
if the vibes are good, they're not going to do anything at the trade deadline.
Well,
what happens.
I was around them at the end of the winning streak, right? They won 5 games in a row, and it was like a different basketball team. And that's the way the NBA is in a lot of places. I'm not saying this is only the Hawks, but when you suddenly win every game for 10 days, everybody's in a better mood. They're talking to the media better. Like, Nate's kind of smiling a little bit, which never happens. The front office guys are happier. It is what it is. And I know you're going to remember this, but you remember 2017? You remember the Dwight year? They won 5 games in a row, famously. This got reported. This is not a secret. It's got reported. They won 5 games in a row. That team was not very good, but they got hot right before the deadline. And that was Tony had just come in recently, and Tony famously, they took a deal to trade Paul Millsap to Tony, and Tony said no, because they were winning all of a sudden. And this is different from that. I'm not saying it isn't, but like, it has the same vibe. If the Hawks were to go out now, especially with the schedule that they have coming up, which is pretty difficult actually, if they were to win a bunch between now and 2 weeks from today on Thursday the 9th of February, they are a lot less likely to make a trade. If they go out in the next however many games, 6-7 games over the next 2 weeks, and go 1-6, the vibes get worse, and now they're more likely to trade John, or they're more likely to do something drastic. So it shouldn't be that simple, but it really might be. Like, I think it's undeniably the way they play in the next 2 weeks impacts.
There's
everything.
no denying it. The John Collins rumor mill, like, you can tell how good or bad the vibes are by the John Collins rumor mill. When it's heating up, the Hawks are struggling. When it's quiet, like, oh, they might keep them, they're good, because
it's gotten quieter.
A certain owner isn't putting pressure on everybody to win games, because like, the problem is the owner of the team is very impatient, and he's very impulsive. Like, he's a very impulsive person. So when the vibes are bad, when the vibes are bad, he's going to be clamoring for big changes, which is what they did in this offseason after a disappointing season last year. You know, he's very vibes based, which is kudos to him and his son. You know, I don't. Based. You know, it's going to be, and like to me, I made this point on Twitter. It's going to be tough for the Hawks to like, assuming Nate's probably not going to be back next season.
I have said that. I believe it. I've never said definitely because I would never say definitely.
Understands it. This is me saying this purely based on the vibes. Nate probably doesn't want to do this anymore. How the Hawks aren't going to get any top flight. Why would any top flight coach want to come for this team that's ran by a guy? If I go on a 3-game losing streak, he's going to be yelling at me to start, some rookie or do something else differently. Like nobody wants to hear that. And then also like they're looking for a more senior exec, and it's like, good luck. Everybody knows who runs the team. It's not Landry Fields. I'm sorry. Like they can give Landry whatever title he wants. Corver being named assistant GM, basically 3 days after being a coach / player development / I'm here for the vibes too. He's assistant GM.
Kyle was hired really in this weird, very, very hybrid role, and that's a fast rise. Like Kyle's really respected around the league. I'll say that. Like everybody loves Kyle.
Kyle's a great guy. I love Kyle, but it's
it's interesting. Like the whole situation is, and to bring it all around about the deadline, is that I have a lot less confidence in what I'm going to say and what I'm going to predict, because nobody knows what this group is going to do. The NFL playoffs are ongoing, and we are very excited about our new sportsbook partner for the Locked On Podcast Network, and that is the number one sportsbook in America. That is FanDuel. If you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features to make sports betting fun and easy for you, and new customers can join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon, and FanDuel has all your favorite bets from money lines to point spreads to totals, game props, player props, and much more. Plus, you combine your bets together for a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. Championship Sunday is coming up in the NFL with 2 games projected to be very, very close on Sunday between the Chiefs and the Bengals, as well as the Niners and Eagles. Plus, all the stuff with the Hawks that you are looking for, including Saturday's game against the Clippers. It's all there at FanDuel. You can do it all in an app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Football fans, basketball fans, don't miss out on this offer from FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now, Tony is a more proven entity. Like, he's been the owner of the team for more than a half decade. Landry Fields has never been the number one decision maker. Kyle's never been in this role. They don't have an old head in the front office. It doesn't exist. They tried to hire Chris Grant, reportedly. Chris Grant didn't want to do it. That came out from, I think it was Windhorse this week. So, like,
Chris Grant with his baggage turned down a senior executive role. I need to understand how dire it is in Atlanta.
So all that said, like, it's really hard to predict, especially trade stuff. Like Travis, I had a decent read on Travis. Like, from talking to Travis, from also just looking at what he did, and because he had a record of moves as a GM. Like, it's hard to attribute stuff to a guy as a number 2, number 3. Travis was not the decision maker in Golden State, so you never want to attribute everything to him. Like when he came to Atlanta, people were like, "Well, he did this, this, and this." I'm like, well, he was in that front office. You never know. But when he was here, I wasn't going to tell you that I could predict everything he was going to do, but there was stuff that like felt like Travis. I don't know what that is for Landry Fields. How could I? There's no way. I mean, I've talked to Landry Fields. Like, I think Landry Fields is a smart guy. I think Kyle Korver's a smart guy. I have no clue what they want to do right now. Then you throw in the Nick Ressler piece. Then you throw in the tax. You throw in Tony. And, like, all due respect, like, I'm not Woj. I don't have a source to tell me right now what they're going to do. And I don't think anybody knows. But one thing, it's a lot quieter now in general. The Collins stuff is quieter. There was a little bit of bogey stuff when he came back. That's been quieter. Like, we're all just talking about, like, I'm reasonably informed. but it's educated guesses at this point. Like maybe it'll change in the next 2 weeks. I'm sure they're going to start leaking a little bit more because every team leaks on some level in the next couple of weeks, posturing or whatever. But it's going to come down to how well they're playing. And I would love to know more than almost anything right now if Tony is thinking about the tax for next year, because if you look at it, and I'm going to avoid the nerd stuff right now a ton, but if they don't do anything next, if they don't do anything at all and just go into the summer with the same roster, they're at the tax line for next year without adding another thing to the team. And that's without Justin Holiday. That's without Aaron Holiday and whoever, Kaminsky or whatever. Like if they just run it back they'll have 9 guys on the team. That's assuming Bogey opts in, which I think he probably will. It's not for sure, but probably will. Like I think there's this thought in the fan base where like, oh, well, we'll get him in the summer. Like, nah, man, they don't have anything to get him in the summer unless they're going to go to the tax. Like they'll have the mid-level if they want to use it, but they had the mid-level this year. They didn't use it. So the one thing you can do other than draft, obviously draft matters, and they found AJ. Like very least they found AJ. That's a future building block. Great draft pick. But we're at the time now where the rebuild is over. They're in this mode now where like you can't just, there's no free agency. You can work on the margins in free agency, but your big moves, your franchise changing moves when you are at this place, either in the middle of the league or the top of the league, have to be trades or internal development. And they made a big trade last summer, and now they're in the same place they were in a year ago. Now the roster's different, but they're in the same exact place in the standings. They're at 500.
And here's the thing. I'm pretty sure multiple basketball execs for the Hawks who work within the organization told these guys who made the decision to trade for Dejounte. It's not like Dejounte. They didn't say Dejounte is not a great player. They just said this isn't going to change anything.
It's not going to change everything.
It's not going to change everything. It changed some stuff, and I think this roster has more talent. Has more. Absolutely.
Dejounte does a lot more things than the guys they had before. It's not about Dejounte. Like I think people think that I don't like Dejounte. It's not the case at all. Dejounte's a good player. He's just not. I never thought that he was like, he's not going to change your team. He's not a game changer. He's a good player. He's a top 40 guy in the league, something like that. He's a good player. But like you're able to throw the term all-star on a press release because he was the injury replacement last year. If you poll people in the league, again, this is not negative, but no one views him as an all-star. No one. Yeah. Like you throw the term all-star out there and just as a reference to like a tier of player, he's not in that tier of player. And that's okay. He's in the next tier below that. And that's a really good place to be, man. And like he's making not that much money right now, but you said it earlier, he's going to be asking for the max after next season, and he should ask for the max. He's a max player. Max player versus all-star are different. That's a very different thing. So, I don't know. And look, they also have time. Like they could be getting better. They've been playing better as we talked about at the very beginning of this conversation.
They've been playing better. The good things to me ultimately is this for this season, just on the court. Off the court, like there's a lot of stuff. I can't get a read on it because I don't know these guys or what they're going to do or what.
Nobody can get a read on it. I'm telling you, like
it's
I'm not
tough.
saying
it's tough. It's also tough because it's like, I mean, his son kind of has a lot of say in the organization.
Nick has a lot of power. And look, I won't claim to know every single thing on the inside, but even before the reporting came out, it was around in the league that Nick had a lot of say. And
it was the open secret of the NBA that other teams, people within the league will talk about is that Travis Schlenk is handcuffed because A, the tax, and then B, he's got to deal with this.
We talked about it on the show. I know I talked about it on the show briefly when I think it was Jeff Schultz wrote something and the Amick thing, and it was all coming out in a few days. It was reported that Travis Schlenk, who was the president of basketball operations, making millions of dollars a year, millions,
very
7
high,
figures
still
per year.
Yeah, one of the highest paid executives in the NBA.
Certainly, one of the top half of executives in the league at minimum. It was reported that he was not really on board with the Murray trade. That shouldn't happen when you're number one executive. So in theory, on paper, the organizational structure for the Hawks until December 22nd was Tony Ressler, Travis Schlenk. On the basketball side, obviously Steve Koonin is the business head CEO, but on the basketball side, the only person above Travis Schlenk was Tony Ressler, and Travis Schlenk was supposed to be the main decision maker. It was reported, and I don't know this, I didn't confirm it. It was reported that Travis was not really all in on the Murray trade. If your lead decision maker doesn't want to do a trade, you don't do the trade, except for when this happened. So it's just a weird situation. And now it's a little bit less clear even. Like Landry Fields is the GM, which is a lower. Now he's number one decision maker on paper, but GM has less power on paper than president of basketball operations. So he's closer to his underlings, however you want to say that, subordinates, than Travis was. And nobody's above him. So it's like kind of the same structure, but it's kind of not. So we just don't know. Long story short, maybe Jeff Schultz knows. He's got great sources around the league. Maybe somebody nationally knows. Sam Amick's been really plugged in recently with the Hawks. But I don't know what they're going to do. I'm pretty confident they're not going to sell. I'm pretty confident they're not going to go in the tax. Those are my two takes right now. It's like there was this school of thought now because especially before the winning streak, I saw a lot of go ahead and start tanking stuff from fans. Just frustration. I get that. They're not doing that. That ain't happening. You got Trae on the roster. You're not taking it. Now, if Trae suddenly was gone for 3 months for an injury, I'm knocking on wood. We don't want that to happen. If Trae was suddenly gone, I would be calling for them to do that. Yeah. All right, boys, turn it down.
Turn it down, yeah.
But once that happens, and also, and we don't have to do this, I promise, there's enough buzz about Trae where like you don't want to suddenly you don't want to suddenly be trying to talk your superstar into a rebuild right now in the middle of this when he could ask out any moment. I'm not saying he's going to, and I've pushed back on that. Like people have asked me.
I gotta say the buzz with Trey Young asking out is one of the most aggressive.
I'm gonna make fun of this a little bit right now.
Go ahead.
Eric Pincus, who is a smart guy, Bleacher Report, good cap guy. He reported it was an anonymous source this week at Bleacher Report that said something like, "I believe Trey Young might ask out at the end of the season," and that's not a report. Like, I promise you, Tyler, right now, I could text someone in the league and print their quote that would look like that quote. You know what I mean? It would be hard to do. I'm not going to do that. And that became, I got 10 texts in an hour. Like, did you see this thing about Trae? I'm like, yeah, I saw it. Out? Trae's not. From what I understand, I don't think Trae is anywhere close to asking out. Now, I've said before, if Trae wanted out, he'd probably get out because stars seem to get out. The only guy in recent memory that didn't get out was KD, and KD had 4 years left. And KD, with due respect to
Trae, guess how many years? Hold on, but guess how many years Trey Young? Trae ain't going nowhere. Let me be clear here.
I don't think so either.
Trae doesn't. People need to understand. If you watched, HBO and HBO Max, Bomani Jones got his second season of Game Theory came on. He actually talked about the player empowerment era, where players don't really have that much actual power. They have what we call leverage during certain situations. Trey Young has leverage over the Hawks organization. That's why he's able to get stuff to go his way. Typically, he doesn't have power. All right, Tony Ressler has power.
Yeah, I mean,
Trey Young could ask out. Trey Young can ask out. Tony Ressler's going to look at the contract that he's got him under, how much he's paying him, and he's going to tell him, "You suiting up next year. We got season tickets to sell, buddy."
I think
Trey Young ain't got no power over the Hawks organization.
No, it's more. Yeah, it's good. I haven't seen that. The power versus leverage thing is an interesting way to put it because he definitely has leverage, and Trey's got a voice.
He does have leverage.
He's reportedly close to Nick Ressler, which is
best friends,
probably a big important thing.
I didn't say that. I didn't.
No, they're not best friends. But anyway, it's just one of those things where like I've tried not to even go down that rabbit hole because it's not worth it. Trey's going to be here. Trey's the franchise player. It's not worth talking about.
He has no leverage. It's not even worth discussing.
It is what it is. But like going back to what I was saying before that, when you have an established star, and by the way, I don't know if it's all in, but the Hawks were mostly in preseason. Like you don't go trade 3 picks for Dejounte Murray with Trae on the roster and then be like, oh, by the way, guys, now we're going to retool and take a step back. That's not happening. They're not doing that. I mean, like I'm a big proponent of living in reality, generally speaking, on these conversations. Like there's the hypothetical conversation and then there's the reality conversation with regard to players and trades and like rosters and all that stuff. And like, you have to, it's different when you're close to a team, I think, and you watch the same team all the time. You have to understand the reality of the situation, and that I would fall out of this chair if the Hawks took a step back on purpose. Now, you and I agree that if they trade John Collins, they're probably going to get worse. Now, that's not the same thing. Trading John Collins getting worse is them looking at their books and being like, oh, we don't want to pay. We're worried about our books long term. That was the Kevin Huerter trade, which made them worse, which you and I called in the moment. We were right about that. But that's not the same thing as like actively being like, you know what, we're going to sell at the deadline. Nah.
Selling would be trading Capella.
Trading Capella or selling. Yeah, no, actually, that might be you're right. That might be the clearest distillation. I mean, short of like trading Murray, which I'm not going to do, would be because Capella is the only guy on the roster outside of Trae and Dejounte who is like kind of universally agreed on what he is. Like they just paid Hunter. Obviously, they're not going to trade Hunter. He's poison pilled, all that stuff. Hunter's kind of off the table. Collins is polarizing. We think he's good. He's everybody thinks he's good. There's different levels of what he is. Capella is a veteran on a solid contract for a long while. And if you watch this team for more than 5 minutes, you know, if they trade Capella, they get so much worse. And there's no wiggle room. Like,
unless they trade him for somebody who can do 70% of what Capella can do, like,
which they maybe do.
If they were to trade Capella for a younger Capella,
I was going to say like
who's worse.
It's different. It's a different player, but like I could see a deal like you trade him Clippers for like Zubac or something else, something like that. It's like he's worse than Capella, but you know what I mean, like that kind of player.
Yeah, but I mean, you want the step back. Like it's the Steven Adams for Jonas Valanciunas.
Right, a different. That's what I'm talking player.
About, where it's a different player.
You're right, but that's the sell move. You're right. Like
that's not a sell, but.
No, I'm talking about if they were to trade Capella, that's
they
a long term.
Trying to maximize Capella's assets.
That's a long term move too. That's all right. We know we used the number 6 overall pick on Onyeka Okongwu. He's gonna have to start at some point, etc. So we've said a lot of things. I don't know what to expect. I'll do a podcast anytime I hear something or anything is reported in the next 2 weeks. I think that they are decently likely to do something, like something small or something with John or Bogey. But I think anything beyond that, like if they do a trade, here's one thing I'll ask you, Tyler. If they do a trade that does not include one of John, Bogey, or Justin Holiday, I'll be surprised. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if they do a bigger trade than that, I'll be surprised. Or a different trade than that even. Because like those are obviously the 3 guys that everyone's talking about being available. You know, everybody's available outside of trade for the right price, but like really available is Collins, Bogey because of the contract and because of AJ, and Holiday just for the salary matching. Because if you look at the books, the only player making more than $5 million this year for the Hawks that they don't desperately need is Justin Holiday. Like everybody, all their good players are making more than that, other than AJ and Jalen, and all of their like a lot of teams have a veteran that's not playing making $12 million. That guy doesn't exist for the Hawks. Justin Holiday is the only guy on the team that makes more than the minimum. That's a veteran that's not playing. So like he's the only guy to circle on that trade chart. Like that's how NBA trades work. Like most of the time, it's one team sending either bad salary or expiring salary or picks to the other team for players. And the Hawks, if they're going to buy, the only dead salary they have is Justin. That's it. Or like throw-ins, like Kaminsky's making the minimum. Like you might have to do that to make salary work, but he doesn't actually like move you in a trade. It's just what it is. There's a whole other Bogey thing we can talk about in the future. We don't have to do it now, but whether Bogey opts in is a question that I get all the time, and I don't have the answer for you. I think he probably does at this point because the knee is problematic, but it's only $18 million, and $18 million in the current landscape is not that much money. Yeah. He might opt out.
He
That might
might
happen.
opt out. Yeah, he might actually opt out. Like, so there's actually a decent
But
conversation to have with Bogey.
But I will say, what in the I don't know if you actually want to know how you feel with this. In the excitement about AJ, which is warranted, there's this movement now to just like send Bogey to Siberia, and I get why he's not playing very well, but like they need Bogey, man, they need him.
Bogey's fine. It's just under a different.
Here we go again. We're back.
Maybe you wouldn't play Bogey 19 straight minutes when he's got it going, just because he has it going, like in a quarter, like in a basketball game with his knee problems. Like, I feel like Bogey, like the Hawks could probably do a better job of protecting him, like against certain bad matchups where it's what they also didn't do with Gallinari last year as well. Where
correct
now, Gallinari, it should have been some games where Gallinari you're just not going to play him. Like that's what should have happened, but that.
Well, and now
they're never going
this
to do
year,
stuff.
This year they can't really do it with. I mean, other than a back-to-back.
Yeah, I'm not saying not play Bogey, but I'm like maybe play him less. Understand? Hey, we really need AJ and Holiday out there to stop the ball. Like,
the thing about Bogey is that everyone that's watching the team closely agrees that Bogey is not moving well, and that's killing his defense. And he's not the same creator off the dribble that he was before. Maybe it comes back. Maybe he starts feeling better with his knee. We don't know. But so far this year, he's not been playing very well. We all agree on this. The thing is, just because you have AJ in that role doesn't mean you suddenly don't need more shooting. Because like people forget this. Before Bogey came back, everybody was like, "Oh, well, when Bogey comes back, we'll finally have enough shooting." It's like, yeah, AJ's a great shooter, but if you just took Bogey away, guess what? Guess what, everybody? You don't have enough shooting again. Congratulations, you don't have enough shooting. And we remember very well, and the Hawks fans remember very well, when the Hawks were at their conference finals best, Bogey was always in the middle of that. The last 2 years, in the second half of the season, Bogey was a huge, like top 3 or 4 part of that run both times. Like he unlocks their ceiling. Now, that guy may never be back. He might be gone. Then he might be just shot. That's definitely in play. But as far as like, if you're hoping still, as we finish this podcast up in a second, if you're hoping still the Hawks like can wake up, go on their, I guess, annual second half run and be the 5 seed or something like that, I have a hard time seeing that if Bogey's not going to be Bogey. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
I think he can get there. It's just it would require smarter management of your player, just to understand that it's an 82 game season. And stop coaching as in like 3 game spurts. Like thank God
Bogey got a late start to the season. I mean, I made that joke while he was out. I was like, well, maybe this will save his legs a little bit because he's normally gone by the end of the year, and then of course now he's being overtaxed, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I wish Nate hadn't gone like full Tibbs this year with rotations, but he kind of
he's gone full Tibbs, by the way, guys. Like it's just full Tibbs. Like it.
He spent a lot of guys a lot of minutes. Man. It's happening.
Except for our centers. So.
Yeah, the only guy he seems to be like reticent, and I think smartly, to be honest, to not push is Capella. Like he did play.
Well, also because he can afford not to, because he's got a
Congo. Exactly. But the only time that I've had a problem with Capella's usage was the game Okongwu missed this week when he had the hamstring, and Capella hadn't played more than 23 minutes in like 2 months. And he played 37 minutes that night because they had nobody else.
I couldn't believe. I was that was against the Bulls, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Bulls game.
Yeah, and I'm like, Capella is playing way too much. Right? What is happening?
It's because they didn't have a Okongwu, and you know why? Okay, so before we get out of here, we should at least look ahead briefly to the rest of this coming stretch. I want to get your thoughts. Their schedule is pretty difficult in the coming days. They have a bunch of road games. They have a bunch of it's like road trip stuff. Looking at the schedule now, they have 1 home game before the deadline, which is just this Saturday against Clippers. So after that, it's at Portland, at Phoenix, at Utah, but then it's a back-to-back in Denver, which is like the hardest spot in the world.
So it's back-to-back at Denver. So
yeah, it's Utah on Friday. It's Utah Friday, Denver Saturday. So basically that and by the way, anyone in the league, anyone that's on a team or around a team will tell you the hardest thing to do in the entire league is play in Denver on the second night of a back-to-back. And that is happening next Saturday. And then after that, on their way back to Atlanta, they stop in New Orleans and play a TNT game against the Pelicans, who will have Zion and Ingram back. And then
another natty TV game.
So, okay, so let's say the next 6 games. I'll stop there because the first game after that is at home game against Phoenix. Booker might be back by then. That might be tough, but we'll cut it off. Next 6 games: home Clippers, at Blazers, at Suns, at Jazz, at Nuggets, second night of a back-to-back, and at Pelicans. That is not easy. There are worse stretches, but if they go 3-3, that'd be a big win in those 6 games. I got to be honest. Now, I know Hawks fans will hate me saying that, but realistically, they're probably going to be underdogs in 5 of those 6 games on paper.
I don't know. The Suns. I mean, the Suns without Booker.
Yeah, it's basically the 2 games on the
Jazz,
road trip.
I mean, I get it. The Jazz are winning, but like,
no, I don't
got
believe
the softest front court in the NBA.
But going to Utah in the middle of look,
they will lose that. Since I said that, I'm sorry. Since I said they have the softest front court in the NBA, they're definitely losing that game. I apologize.
Well, the other part of this though is that even if you and I agree that I am not afraid of the Blazers, the Suns, or the Jazz, the Suns without Booker in particular,
the most
there's still
game in NBA history.
There's still road games on the West Coast. And West Coast trips are hard, man. Everyone hates West Coast trips. Everyone. So, and then you throw the Denver game in, that's a really tough spot. Even this week, the Clippers at home, they'll be well rested, but the Clippers have been playing better recently. Kawhi's playing basketball again. I think he's going to play in that game because they don't play Friday night. So, yeah, that's not easy.
Kawhi's not playing. Come on.
He's been playing. He's been playing.
Kawhi never plays in Atlanta. I can't remember the last time Kawhi played in Atlanta. I was shocked LeBron played in Atlanta.
Oh, you know what?
Kawhi's not playing. Paul George.
They do play in Cleveland the next day.
Thank you.
So will they punt on Saturday? You're right. I was wrong. Maybe that'll happen. So anyway, I want to ask you on the way out. Let's assume they don't make a huge thing. I mean, do you have any idea what they're going to do? I mean, I don't. But in terms of performance-wise, we started with this, we'll end with this. The entire East,
full stop. As long as they're healthy and reasonably rested, I expect them to win the game. I feel like they won't be favored in Vegas, but I would think they're the better team until they get tired. Then they'll lose. That Nuggets game, they might win either the Nuggets or the Utah game, or they might one of those games they're getting blown out by 30 points. Put it in pen. Put that in pen. They're getting blown out. It's going to be bad looking. And so the key is they're going to have to win. They're really going to have to beat Portland and Phoenix. They're just going to have to win. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Or Utah. I mean, those are the 3. Yeah. I mean, they got to. I don't know. They have as far as but even beyond this stretch, which is pretty hard. The Hawks, I think, have the number 6 hardest schedule in the league the rest of the season by winning percentage.
Well,
that's kind of tough. As far as performance-wise, for the rest of the year, I still think that there are only 5 teams, and that assumes KD is playing, that are, I think, full stop better than the Hawks. 5. And that, again, that includes KD. If KD's not playing, then cross them off.
Including the next, and is Nick Claxton that good, Brad? I mean,
he's not, but KD was playing incredible when he got hurt. And I'm saying if KD's playing, I will defer to the Nets. Now, that's not to say the Hawks can't beat them, because they can. But as far as they also have a 5-game lead on the Hawks. That matters too. But I'm still maybe I'm wrong about this. I'm still not afraid of the Heat. They're playing better recently. Not afraid of the Heat.
Brad, why would you say that though? I know you're not a fan, but
I always say that.
But then Jimmy, every time they play Jimmy decides to go ham. He's just gonna make every 35-footer. He's gonna get every call now. This is on you, Brad. It's not on me.
That's true.
I don't want to play the Heat.
I will say the Heat again. I'm not saying they want to play the Heat because I should have said this before. I don't think the Heat are very good, but Nate McMillan,
but they played
again. Nate against Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler in the playoff series after the way last year went. No one wants to see that. So I'm not saying
nobody wants to see Jim on a 15-footer, bro. Come on now.
Your guy Jimbo.
Give Jimbo his respect.
The Knicks, not afraid. The Pacers now are in the spiral that we all knew they were going to be in at some point.
We're dissing Julius Randle now? Like, come on, man.
Julius Randle had the worst playoff series I've ever seen anyone have against the Hawks. It happened.
Oh man, he's still
Julius
it's so
Randle.
Funny. It's funny, Brad, because that Knicks Hawks game, everybody just spent the entire second half doing the too small after his one.
Oh my god, the entire second half.
It was the entire second half. It was funny.
Honestly, I'm glad the Hawks won that game because there was some shades of that Houston game when they got real chatty and they blew the lead. Remember that?
They were.
That Knicks game was very similar. Now they won that one comfortably, but they were very chatty against the Knicks in the second half. Anyway, not afraid of the Knicks. Who else is there? The Bulls, whatever. So it's crazy.
I've yet to. Can the Hawks guard DeMar DeRozan, Brad? I don't know.
It'd be nice if they had
to the Chicago Bulls.
I think if they had DeAndre Hunter, they could do a better job against DeMar DeRozan.
No,
if they don't have Hunter, then no. They're just okay. So, and the Raptors are in a spiral.
The Wizards? No Wizards love, Brad. Come on now.
No, come on. Moving on.
They got old boy from the Lakers. What's his name?
So I think the Hawks are going to make the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. I think the Hawks should make the playoffs. It might be in the play-in again. Might have to get out of the play-in. Okay, I will stop.
I'm going to have to beat the Pacers.
My one serious take at the end of the podcast. My one serious thing I want you to answer. What is the realistic goal the rest of the year on the court? Not trade. Is it the 6th seed?
Look, man, if they get the 6th seed, that's probably what they should be shooting for.
That's kind of what I think too, and I think that's probably what Nate would say. People get mad at Nate for having expectations that he says out loud that are not super high. Remember that last year he was like, "We want to make the playoffs." People were like, "Wait, what? You just made the conference finals. What are you talking about? Make the playoffs?" And
the playoffs.
Nate said that.
Right.
I tweeted out the quote and people went crazy. I'm like, I didn't say it. It was Nate. He's the coach of the team. I didn't say it.
People got mad at Capella saying make to the Eastern Conference Finals.
He did say that. They got mad at him, and he was right.
It's like what y'all want? What do y'all want from me? I'm just. This is a job, guys. You got to set reasonable goals here.
It's a job. So that's what I'm saying. Realistic. Obviously, the Hawks want to win every game, but realistically, I think the 6th seed would be a great outcome at this point. They're only 2 games short. They're only 2 games out of the 6th seed right now. After all this, they're only 2 games out of the 6th seed. Now, on the flip side, they're only 3 games ahead of the 12th seed. So
they're really going to have to win. Like the margins are slim. They cannot afford to have a bad road trip. Like they just have to win the game. If they're healthy and they're rested, they have to win that game period. I'm not a big put too much emphasis on a single game or single trip during the season guy. They can't afford to go 1-6 in the next 7. They can't afford that. They can't do that. That era is over, Brad. They don't have the leeway. They're not doing that because Trae will play 48 minutes before that happens. So
that's one of the only. Especially I said the tough. This is a pretty tough stretch. The only game on paper that I would say is really bad is that Denver game. Every other game is winnable. And even that, obviously, they can beat them. I'm not saying they can't win that game, but that's a spot where they're going to be a big underdog in that game. Every other game, they'll be coin flip or whatever. Maybe New Orleans if they're full strength is tough. But
even
Denver's a tough.
Even New Orleans.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is just take care of business here. And going back to what we talked about before, this also informs the deadline because the deadline comes before the Phoenix game. So the New Orleans game is the last game before the deadline. It's on TNT on a Tuesday. Can you imagine the takes?
If they win that game,
no trades.
No. If they lose it,
trade everybody at that point. Trade Trae. I'm kidding. They're not going to trade Trae. All right, Tyler. We've done enough talking. I appreciate all of this. We're always off the rails when we talk, but I do appreciate you coming on. It's been a while. That's on me. I was doing some travel at some bad times, and we're locked in again. I am.
Yeah, the University of Michigan losing against TCU, it hit you hard. I understand.
It did hit me hard. That was not a fun day at all. I was.
That
was a situation where I was actively mad in a way that I don't get very often about sports. You know what I mean? I've been a Falcons fan for a long, long time, and they broke me long ago.
Ritter season.
They broke me long ago, and I still have some investment in the Braves emotionally. I know I cover them some, but anyway. it wasn't even like I was sad about the Michigan loss. I was mad. I was like Tyler Jones when Capella misses a layup in the third quarter of a game. Mad. I was like about to
Capella
throw my
doesn't miss
phone
layups
out the
anymore.
window.
Don't disrespect Clint Capella.
That's true. I love Clint. That's my guy. But I was so mad. Just doing Philly special on the 1 yard line, Tyler. Philly special on the 1 yard line.
Jim Harbaugh, man.
Big Jim ran a fullback dive to a linebacker who fumbled on the goal line. Just the most maddening. Like Hawks fans get mad when the Hawks go to hero ball in the fourth quarter and score 12 points. That was like I was that day. I was like, I cannot handle this anymore. But all right, we said enough. Tyler, what's going on in your world? Plug your stuff. I know you got stuff to plug. You got TV, you got anime. What's going on?
I do have anime. I don't know what to plug with anime though, because I haven't actually seen any of the new stuff. I'm waiting for episodes. I like to binge. Except I am currently watching a lot of Vinland. I'm watching season 2 of Vinland Saga, which is incredible. So that's pretty much it. Brad, I've been in a lot of training recently. So after work, I'm super tired and I just go work out and then I go to sleep. So I haven't really done too much culturally. That's going to change this weekend. But I don't really have anything excited other than Vinland Saga. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's incredible.
There you have it.
It's a historical fiction. So a lot of those it's about Denmark, Norway, Vikings, England. Like it's during the heart of the Middle Ages when Canute becomes king. So like it's a very interesting time. You follow all these characters around. It's great. I can't recommend it enough. But sadly, I don't have anything else for you guys. Like
highest recommendation.
I'm waiting on other stuff to
They should follow you on Twitter then. If you allow them to follow you on Twitter, I'm sure you'll give out some takes on there.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Pretty much all of your non-Hawks tweets are about something that I don't understand, but that's okay. Something about what you're watching that day or whatever's happening, or you'll be talking about the Braves or something every once in a while. How about Zips, baby? How about the Braves? We're all ready to go for the Braves. I'm ready.
Man, Braves are good. Braves looking good. From the projected, they don't have a left fielder, but
it's you actually. Wait, I thought you weren't a Braves fan anymore because Dansby left. You're not a Braves fan anymore. You gonna follow him to Chicago? No. Your guy Dansby, Cobb County zone.
I'm just happy Dansby got his money. I'm happy Dansby got his money. But the Braves won me over. The Braves won me over.
One more Cobb County thing on the way out because we're obviously off the rails. I got an email today from the G League Ignite that says Scoot Henderson's jersey retirement is Tuesday at Kell High School.
Let's go.
So just want to let you know that. I want to let you know that Lee Waters Road in Marietta, Kell High School. I got the address right here. All that's going on. I can't actually go to that because I have Hawks. I think the Hawks play that night. Don't they play that night? Anyway, that's happening. So, Scoot Henderson, your guy.
That's my boy. Number 2
I got yelled at a lot for saying that the Hawks wouldn't draft Scoot Henderson. I was just talking. I wasn't even dialed in.
Brad, they would draft Scoot Henderson.
I think they might actually. After thinking about it more, they might.
Come on now.
My only point.
Big Tone wouldn't draft the hometown hero.
That's kind of why I think.
What are you talking about?
Kind of why I think why he would now.
Big Tone.
I was thinking in the moment. I think you sold me, but I was thinking in the moment.
You were talking about we invested so much.
My only point was
Big Tone.
There is literally not a team in the league that has invested more in point guard than the Hawks. So on the basis of that, you'd be like, oh, Scoot Henderson, point guard, probably can't take him. But then I realized he's from Marietta. He's really good. He's really good, man. When we do some more draft stuff later on, I know I had Brian on recently. Scoot Henderson is really good. I watched a lot of tape on him about 2 weeks ago. Oh man, he's really good. So yeah, I think they might take him.
Physical plus jumper. That'll get you.
My guy Sam Bassini, who we don't always agree, but I think Sam does a great job. But on the show, Sam said the other day that he thinks Scoot might be the best guard he's ever evaluated.
People need to understand. Sam's been doing this for a long while. He doesn't say he's not the hyperbole type.
He's saying that.
Not his bag. So.
I was like, okay, that's something. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you doing this. We'll talk soon, I'm sure. As for everybody else, please subscribe to this podcast. Give Tyler a follow if he lets you. on the Twitter machine. You can see it on YouTube, or it's at
Not my fault.
Jonesy
I'm locked, guys.
2x4. The man has a job. It is what it is. Follow me if you like to at BT Rowland. We'll see you all next time.